In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use templates to make a pop-up card. So in the previous videos I've made, all my tutorials, I make the assumption that you know how to cut out the card using my template. If you don't, this tutorial will show you some guidelines on how to use my templates to cut out a card by hand. Now if you have a cutting machine, then this wouldn't apply to you. So there are three different methods to use these templates. The first method is to cut directly on the cardstock like this. And the second method is to cut the template out or to print it out on paper and then tape it to your cardstock and then cut out the card. And the third way is to print the template out on paper and then temporarily glue the template to the cardstock. So I'll show you these three methods. First, printing directly onto the cardstock. Now this first method is to print out the template directly on the cardstock, and this is the easiest, but in some cards you'll see the black lines after you assemble the card. So you'll want to cut slightly inside the black lines so that you won't see the lines. And this can be a little tricky when you're cutting out intricate geometries like these letters here. So for example, if I want to cut out this card, if I cut and I'm outside the black line, like this, then after I finish the card, you'll see this thin black line on your card, which isn't going to look really good. But instead, what you want to do is you want to cut inside the black line, like that. That wasn't very straight. But if you cut inside, you won't see the black line. So in the same way, when you cut out the lettering, you want to make sure that you cut the black line out. So this is a little bit tricky, but this is the easiest way to get the template onto the card. The next method is to print out the template out on paper and then tape the template onto your cardstock. So for example, same card, I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut around the template relatively close to the lines. Really, I want to give it room to tape onto your card. So for example, this is what I did. Okay, and I'm going to line this card up, line this template to the card, and then I'm going to tape the corners down like this. Now this is how I cut out my templates, pretty much all throughout my life until I bought a cutting machine. So now you tape down your template, you can start cutting, but you want to remember to cut from the center outwards. So cut out the letters first, then this ribbon, for example, and then the outside of the card. Because your template is stuck down on the corners, if you start cutting on the outside first, then your template will just fall off. So remember, cut from the center outwards on this card. Okay, so the third method, which is the third method of transferring the template to the cardstock, and this is the method I recommend, is to use a repositionable or a type of glue like this. It's a repositional adhesive such as Krylon's Easy Tack. So first thing to do is print out your template and then spray a really thin coating of this glue onto your template. Now the instructions say 6 to 8 inches away. I would spray it maybe 12 to 18 inches away, just to make sure you get a really thin coat. I mean, you almost shouldn't feel any tackiness. So let that dry for a few minutes, and I've already sprayed this on. Actually, I sprayed this on yesterday, and then press your template directly onto your cardstock. I mean, you don't have to align it very well, as long as it sticks. Press this down, And now you could cut out your template, and all your parts will stay on, and you don't have to worry about parts of your template falling off. But I'd still cut out from the center outwards, cutting the thank you. For example, in this card, cutting the thank you text first, and then the ribbon, and then the outside of the card. So I've shown you 3 ways for cutting the template patterns out on the cardstock. The first method is to print directly on the cardstock. The second way is to tape the template onto the cardstock. And the third method is to use repositional glue and attach it to the cardstock. So now let's try this out. I go to my website, createapopupcards.com, pick a card, and print the template out. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. For more tutorials and pop-up card designs, please visit my website at createapopupcards.com. Thanks.